Hi, everybody. This is Getrude Matshe here in sunny Wellington, New Zealand. I have yet another amazing guest online today for our HerStory podcast. Laurie Giles, welcome.
Thank you. How are you? Thank you.
Please tell everybody exactly who you are, where you are, and tell us and share your story.
I am Laurie Giles. I am in Connecticut, USA, where it is sunny, but very, very cold on this November day.
And give me a little bit of your background and the challenges or triumphs that you've had in your life.
Oh my goodness. You know, how long do we have? Do we have hours and hours? I think that, so my name is Laurie Beth Giles. And my goal, if you can say it that way, for my epitaph is that life's been good. So I always try to look at things as life has been good or life is good. So I look at the hard stuff and try to balance and look at it as what life lesson am I supposed to be getting out of this, right?
Yes.
So I think my childhood was a good childhood. Great parents. We had the American dream, the White House, no picket fence, cat and dog. We had all that. But, you know, I've always been one of these women or one of these girls who wanted more. I wanted to help other women. I wanted to make sure that what I did mattered. I grew up here in the U.S. in the height of the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement.
Yes.
And I've always realized that these are big issues. These are very big issues. I remember once when and I think one of the most pivotal moments in my life that led me to this is when I was about 7 years old. My dad was studying for his CPA exam, and he brought me down to his college to the library, where, of course, I was daddy's girl, so I had to follow him everywhere he went. And we ran into one of his old professors, and he said to my father, "Oh, is your little girl going to be an accountant?" And my father said, "My little girl can be anything she wants." And then going home, I looked at the television, I realized, you know what? That's not the case for everyone. And that's what made me really get a heart for social justice. How do we make that the case for everyone, particularly women of color? How do we make it so every little girl can be whatever she wants to be when she grows up? Yes. So that's the basics of my story.
Okay. And you talk about mentoring. I think mentoring is one of your major focuses in life. Let's go a little bit into that.
I totally think that everyone needs a mentor. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So why not find someone who's doing your dream and ask them, hey, how did you get there? I want to be you when I grow up. The person that I consider one of my mentors at this point, at 56 years old or 55 years old, just a couple of years ago, I called her and said, how can I be you when I grow up? And she's just been fabulous. And I think that changes people's lives so much. I've done a lot of research around developmental mentoring and trying to figure out how do we do things like close the achievement gap through mentoring? How do we do things like leveling the playing field for women in corporations, either on the board or in the C-suite? How do we make this world work? And what's the role of mentoring? And to me, without a mentor, you're swimming without a coach, and you would never do that. So I think that that's important. Mentoring has to be at the beginning. It's something that has to be taught. It has to be something that's encouraged. The typical third grader is not going to say, gee, I need a mentor. But we need to encourage that. We need to set up mentoring programs that start for people right away. So yes, mentoring is huge for me.
So I guess what you're basically saying is, why try and reinvent the wheel? If something's been done before, rather learn from that person and model and do it better if you can, but you have a better starting point than trying to do it from scratch, correct?
Absolutely. And a roadmap.
Yes.
Someone to say, these are the things you should be doing. These are the resume building things, or these are the personal development things. And mentoring goes across all spectrums. So whether it's a professional mentor, a personal mentor, or someone who you're a new mom and you need someone to mentor you for that, absolutely. Every aspect of your life, work with that.
And so what if you don't have access to the kind of person you would like to be your mentor? One of the things that I've always looked at is that I read in a book that said success leaves clues. And most role models or people who have succeeded will either write books, they have programs online. So if you don't have access to them one-on-one, they do leave a lot of content that you can consume and learn from, correct?
Absolutely. And I think it's important. I love reading autobiographies. And I love autobiographies for just that reason, that you can connect with whoever you're reading about. So if you don't have access to that person, certainly you have access to what they've said about themselves and how the road that they took. Absolutely, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you were to give someone 3 tips, 3 nuggets of wisdom with regards to mentoring or finding a mentor or being a mentor, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be?
So in terms of finding a mentor, develop your network. Develop your network of someone knows someone knows someone. What do they say? There's 6 degrees of separation. Work that through. I saw a movie once, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, I believe, years and years and years ago. And it basically said that every American should be 2 to 3 phone calls away from the president.
Oh, wow.
So if I look at it that way, you should make it so that you are 2 to 3 calls away from who you want to be mentored by. So who's the most influential person you know, who's the most influential person they know, and that would be develop that line, develop your network.
Nice.
In terms of being a mentor, only mentor people that you can add value to. For example, as an attorney, as a life coach, I cannot add a whole lot of value to someone who wants to be the best plumber in the world. I can barely turn on the sink, right? So you need to make sure you add value to that person. And the final tip would be to keep the relationship going. It's incumbent on both the mentor and the mentee to keep the relationship going, to reach out and to make time and to carve out time. Just as we carve out time, well, we're supposed to carve out time for exercise, and we're supposed to carve out time for all these things. Carve out time for your mentoring relationship. Develop it like any other relationship. Nurture it.
Amazing. Now, we stand on the shoulders of giants, I guess, as women who have had mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers before us. What should every woman do for the generation that's coming?
Teach them these skills. Absolutely. And teach them these skills, encourage them. And if you have a daughter or if you have a neighbor, help them figure out their path and help them figure out how to find a mentor or someone who can help them along their path. I use my own daughter, for example. She's in the performing arts. I know very little. So the goal was, okay, who do I know who might know someone who can help her?
Yes.
And we have to be able to, with our girls, step back and say, I can't necessarily add value to this aspect of your life. Who can? So developing those networks and passing them on.
It's absolutely crucial. And also, I guess, being the example of what's possible as a role model. Sometimes you just have to show up as you to inspire a younger woman to see themselves through you, correct?
Correct. I recently did a study, several years ago, I did a study on what makes some women become leaders while others don't. And my subjects were between 18 and 24 young college women. And it comes down to the women who become leaders are those who particularly see their mother or an older sister or an influential woman as a leader. When I use the term leader, I mean across the board, the Sunday school superintendent or the corporate president or whatever it is. That shows that being that role model is so key to other success. And you always have to be on. You can't just take it for granted. If you're a physician or if you are a mom, you have to always project that, the best of that, because you never know who's watching you.
Yeah, just be the best of yourself in whatever role you're in.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to end this interview with one last question.
Okay.
What words of advice would you give to your younger self? Being where
Oh,
you are now.
don't stay. Life is a journey. Don't stay focused on getting there, because getting there really is not a place. So spend time enjoying the journey, and it's okay to go off course, and it's okay if it doesn't go exactly by plan. Stay flexible and take it as a journey.
Fantastic, because life will
And
throw you those curveballs and you have to know
oh,
how to roll with the punches.
exactly. Life is nothing like I planned it, and I'm sure for most people it's nothing like I had envisioned. But you just go with it. It's a journey.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Laurie, for doing this interview. I am hoping that there is a woman out there, a young girl who will listen to this podcast, will watch you online and take in the nuggets of wisdom that you have given us this morning. So thank you again for taking part.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And do keep in touch.
I shall.